All right, welcome back to another episode of ANTII interviews. It's been a while since our last one, but we back. Um, Back with a returning guest, first returning guest of the pod. We're here with Shamar. How you doing today?
You know, what's good? I'm living like Larry type shit.
Shamar. By the time this comes out, Emergency, their latest work will be out at this point. Just like I feel like I'm literally repeating exactly how I started the last podcast, but like you legitimately outdid yourself on this album.
Yeah, Tuesdays was some mid, so it wasn't too
It's
bad.
great. And Emergency is somehow even better. Like it's incredible. The majority of the project being produced by Outside House with a lot of features from people like J Cinema to Yo OG, Bagel, Money for Water. Just a stacked album through and through. First question, like coming off of when we last did the pod to how you're feeling now, whether personally or musically, how do you think you've progressed or changed since then?
um, well, that's a interesting question because when we did the pod, that was like halfway through this album. To like writing it, I was in like I don't know. I think of this album in like two distinct phases. You have like the Outside House phase where like all the Outside House joints, and I was just like on a personal level, kind of just like crashing out. And I think you hear the remnants of that in the music. But the latter half of that phase was like me like reeling back, and it was like, okay, let me try to like get my life together, but also get this album together and making it like a more cohesive thing. Um, and I guess that's probably a big way that I've grown. I think like I took my time with this in comparison to like any other project I've worked on. Usually up to this point, the most one was Obtuse Ways. Obtuse Ways took like 4 or 5 months to do like, at least to me at that time, the important part was like the writing and the recording. That was about 4 or 5 months because I didn't mix Obtuse Ways. But with Emergency, ignoring like mixing, um, was probably like closer to like 7, 8 months of like writing demos, rewriting newer demos, and then finally doing like those final takes and yeah, laying everything out. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, it feels like on this album, like you kind of delve more into um, your personal psyche. Like I think on the last album, it was like very like referential to your experiences, and this one is as well. But this one is very much like very emotionally like I don't want to say heavy because it makes it sound like it's sad, but it's just a lot. You know what I mean? In the
Yeah.
best way possible. Um, as I mentioned before, the majority of this album being produced by Outside House, kind of canvassing the album with like super heavily glitched and distorted loops that serve as like a fitting background for the emotions displayed on the project. What do you think made their production so integral to the album? And second part of that question is how do you manage to find pockets on like something so sporadic?
I don't. Well, the first question is just like it was just a vibe. I heard about Outside House through Hester Valentine, who's also on the album. His first album solely produced by Outside House, and I was like, "Word, who the fuck is this? This is sick." And then just diving more into their work, and then I got to know them personally, and then it was just like, "Yeah, I want some of this too." But I also like distinctively wanted it to be like different from Hester's album. I feel like we got different kinds of beats from Outside House. Outside House's range is like so enormous, but she still has like they have such a signature sound, you know. Um, so yeah, I think that's like, fuck, I already forgot the first part of the question. My fault. But I know, yeah, just touching on like Outside House's beats. I think Outside House's beats are like fucking sick. And yeah, it was just like a mood. That was my mood at the time. And then like we met each other at like the right time, or they met me at the right time in my life for me to be able to do this. In regards to finding pockets, one thing I think is like I don't want to I kind of want to say like a misconception about like Outside House's beats, or like that they're like these like mythical like pocketless things, but it's like Nah, these shits got drums. These shits got like you mentioned, they're loops. They are not like I mean, yeah, they'll like add on top of the loops and everything. But these beats are loops at the end of the day. And if it's a loop, it can be rapped. Even if it's not a loop, it can be rapped on. Anything. You can rap on whatever. But yeah, I think it also depends from track to track, obviously. I think of like a really easy one to catch a flow on was like the was Mo Better Blues because it's just like the fucking like that bass or whatever, and then it's like word, I'm gonna just go on that bass. But then you compare it to like Hester. Hester has such a uh not meditated like
Meter.
yeah, metered flow. And then like I was just listening back to the beat and it's like, oh yeah, there's the kick, there's the snare, there's the bass, boom, everything you need is right there. It makes perfect sense. And I think like in comparison to like let me think of one. The first track. The first track is like hard as shit. That one was just kind of like I'm just gonna get a feel for it and I'm gonna see what happens. And then that's kind of what happened. And I think once I developed the words for it, it's more just me like even when I do it live, I look for the one hi hat that I know. Okay, when I hear this hat, I'm gonna start rapping, and then I kind of just generally know the pace I'm supposed to be rapping at, and I know when I'm too slow, and I know when I'm too quick, and then just responding accordingly. Like the first track is one I could probably, if I redid the take, the pocket might be a little different, slightly different versus like Mo Better Blues or like Foxhole. That's a pocket I could do again and again and again and again and again.
Right. Um, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like you and Outside House kind of have that similarly. Obviously, doing them doing the production, you doing the rapping in this case. Like you guys both are like on a first glance, it may seem like it's kind of more chaotic than it actually is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of lended itself well to that. Speaking of the first track, like you brought up, we're just gonna go through track by track, kind of
Right.
go through the entire album. And on the opening track, it seems like at points you're kind of dealing with your relationship to rapping with the need for like profitability in mind. How
Mhm.
has your relationship with music changed, if at all, since writing this?
Um, More people are listening to my music. Swordcrest was like an early song on the album. I started writing the album before Two Sways even came out. It was might have been like the week of Two Sways came out. So Swordcrest, like if I'm remembering right, it was like I wrote I'm Not a Doctor in Ethereal on like a Wednesday. Of Two Sways comes out on a Friday, and then I write Swordcrest on the next Sunday. Something to that effect, you know. So it's kind of like on some level responding to like the immediate, whoa, what the fuck? The Bandcamp check, if you will, and that's not even like the distro kid hasn't even hit. But more importantly, just like the notifications on Twitter is like I didn't even know this number could hit 50. Why are 50 people in my notifications? Well, it's more than 50 people. Why do I have 50 notifications? That's like a big number. So yeah, and I think as artists we all grapple with like the thought of like, bro, what if I just say fuck everything else that's like hope making me secure and just go into this rap thing. I think more than it being like just about my relationship with like rapping for profitability, I think it has a lot more to do with like security in general. Um, but obviously, having financial security is a particular part of it and things like that. And of course, the things I do for financial security sometimes can kind of like numb my ability to write or think and shit like that. I'm working like late shifts and I got to go to bed and wake up and go do more shifts at more places and shit like that. Um, so yeah, I guess there's that level to it, but there's also like an acknowledgement of like I'm becoming a bigger artist. So like the chances of me every new fan, the chances of me making money increases, you know, which I'm like I'm grateful for, but it's also kind of like it makes it like I don't know. Some days I wake up and I'm like, what if I just say fuck this shit? What if I just like go into rap like really really hard? But I don't think I could give up my security for that.
Yeah, that's definitely more than understandable. Did you find it overwhelming the response to Obtuse Ways and like all of your music since then? Like, has that been overwhelming for you at all?
Um, Surprisingly, no, considering I'm like a really anxious person. But no, it's been pretty chill. Yeah, I don't really have like much complaints. I haven't really experienced like any weirdness. The most annoying things I've like seen, but I don't like go out of my way to see things. Like I don't look up my like name on Reddit or Twitter or like rate your music. I don't know what they're saying. They could be like sunscreen fucking sucks and I wouldn't know. But like I know child actor showed me like someone was talking about like sunscreen. They like compared me to like Mike and Earl, and I was like, this is. I am a black person. Those are black people, and at the time, man, look, Earl cut his dreads. I cut my dread. You know, they might be onto something. But yeah, I mean, besides like shit like that, not too many Woods comparisons yet, not too many Lucid comparisons yet. So like nothing like super annoying. It's been chill. So whatever. Um, it's interesting seeing like people be like genuinely, like you mentioned, the album's not out as of when we're talking. So it's interesting seeing like people be like, oh my gosh, I'm excited for the do shemar, and it's like, wow, that's crazy. No one cared in 2023. I just dropped. I just did a thing. Now people care. That's cool.
Dude, like just seeing other people excited about the album, even though I've already heard the album like countless times at this point, it's just like
Yeah.
makes me more excited for the album to come out. And it's just like this body of work that you've been working on for the past year and a half, and whatnot. It's just like the way that it came to fruition. I think was like super special. Um, Going into track two, Foxhole. Uh,
Mm.
I would like to try to avoid as much lyric breakdown as I can, but there's just certain lines that I picked out that I
Yeah.
thought were like super interesting. One of them being magic gone like Mike No More Jordan side to those telephone wires torsos.
Yeah.
Obviously, the imagery is self evident, but what was the larger picture you're painting as it relates to this track with that imagery?
Um, I just want to. I mean, like, okay, on like a small level, it was like the like Mike line. I don't know. I fuck with that movie. Good movie. I was listening to Lived and Born. I think Samundi got a like Mike line somewhere on there too. I thought that was funny. I forget which track it was, right? I remember it's like, yeah. But I think that's just in reference to like the hook out. I struggle with like remembering lines outside of their context. So let me pull up like Foxhole. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Um, where I'm trying right now. Emergency Foxhole. What was the line before that? Oh yeah, hi yeah. So that was just like I don't know, like post breakup. The whole hook is like I mean that whole song has to do with like a previous relationship and like more so what happened stuff after that relationship. So a lot of that hook has to do with like, yeah, man, this relationship is dead. The magic's gone. I imagine, that she looks at me and she don't see like, oh my gosh, this is grand dude who's my boyfriend. I'm just some guy now. You know, the magic's gone. I'm not getting any powers out of these shoes, out of my personage. You know, the sheep's clothes. It's not working no more.
Right. That makes a lot of sense in relation. And then tell me about getting BCB Baby on this album or on this song for the ending. Doing a lot of singing there. What was the? How did you get connected for that song?
I mean, I'm sure this is fine. That's my girlfriend. So, I was making the album. I had the Foxhole beat the first half, and then I got the second half. Maybe that might have been the same pack. That's something I really couldn't tell you. I don't remember off top, but I knew that those two beats just had to be together, and I've always wanted like a nigga singing on a track. I don't, so I was like, oh, what singers do I know? And then I realized, I don't know, when it comes to like collaboration, I'm not really one to reach out, especially when it comes to like a rapper, a singer, someone who's like giving you words, and that's not to like dismiss the actual palette being rapped on or like the emotional value of the palette, but when it comes to words in particular, but I guess that's because like words are like more tangible than like more tangible, so I want to be able to like trust the person I'm working with. So it's like I don't know you, I don't really want to just work with you, so I don't want to just hit someone be like, oh, I've heard you sing before, you have a nice voice, can you sing on this thing? Because, you know, what did they say? Like some craziness, you know, because I don't know them well. And they're like, I don't know, just, yeah, craziness. But yeah, getting to know VCB, finding out that she sings, it was like, word, do you want to sing on this track? And, you know, she was like, yeah, it was a long process because, you know, that's her first time being on track, but I think it came together really well. I'm happy I did it. I'm happy this is a big thing of like trusting the process because the first version of Foxhole had like completely different lyrics for like my verse. I sent that to her and I sent the second beat, and it was like, word, can we do a thing? And then I think she wrote her part before I rewrote my part. I wound up rewriting my part, like the verse or whatever. And then, you know, this is really early into the process, you know, maybe about like a year ago, but then I didn't get that final feature till like maybe this past summer, like August, September or something like that. That was just a long time of like, is this actually gonna happen? What's going on here? And things like that. But yeah, things worked out for the best. I really liked how it turned out. That's like, I mean, I'm hoping like whoever's listening to this has like heard the album before like listening to this. If you didn't, you know, maybe go listen. But like that's one of those moments that like I don't even want to like act like it exists. You know, I want it to just like you're just listening to the album is the only way you hear it. Like if I do a video for Foxhole, BCB's part would not be in the video because I just want it to be, oh, I'm listening to this. Oh my gosh, what the fuck? You know, yeah, because it's one of my favorite moments on the album.
You talk about going back into like rewriting. How frequently do you rewrite for different songs? Or I guess particularly for this album, do you like rewrite a lot of your verses? How or like in your writing process? How much of the time, percentage wise, is it like, okay, this is my verse, I feel comfortable with it, maybe I'll add on to it later? And how much of the time is it like, let me tweak some of this stuff that I'm saying?
I don't really do much. I'll add on to it later. Usually things are like I'm either like I don't know. My writing process is kind of like Jenga, building shit up or whatever from my notes into like a verse, and then it's like boom, it's done. But usually it's like when I finish a verse, it's like boom, the song is done, cool, whatever. I'd probably like at most do like some little rewording as I'm like saying it and be like, oh, this isn't the most comfortable way to say something, so let me like just like the way it comes out of my mouth, I don't enjoy it, so I'm gonna like change it up a little bit. That would be like the most I would do. But for this album, I did a significant amount of rewriting, either to like make pinpoint some things a bit more, or just like I don't know, just you mentioned this is like a really particularly personal album, so it was just kind of like a balance of like I think sometimes and I think rappers be doing this a lot, or not a lot, but like rappers can do this, where like the personal will become for shock value or whatever, where it's like, bro, you're trying to make a point, so you make it like hella fucking shocking, you know, because it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that, and I think sometimes that can like obscure the point. I think of like Mr. Morale from Kendrick. I think of ANTII Diaries, and I think of the end of ANTII Diaries when I think of that one. It's like, bro, you have a point, and I completely understand your point, but I just think the way you did it was fucking dumb. You know, you didn't need to say that word. You need to repeat that word for me to understand what you're trying to say. Because what you're trying to say, honestly, isn't like too that fucking deep. Whatever. But anyways, yeah. So like trying to avoid saying things for shock value, or like saying something and knowing that like I'm saying it because it is shocking. Because you know I have people who like I care about being referenced on this track, so it's like I need some level of nuance here. And yeah, just like you know, just make things a little bit clearer. I think of Foxhole was one that I definitely rewrote my verse for. Nature, I spent a lot of time. The core of the verse remained the same as the first version, but it was just like, oh, I don't like this line. There's more a little more I can pull out from here. Albany Ave started off on an outside house beat, and then it was just like some of those ideas got into Origin, and then some of those ideas became the track on the album that you produced. Yeah, like those three are definitely ones that come to mind. I rewrote a couple lines on Mo Better Blues. Ethereal. Yeah, like half the album. I like, yeah, really like. There's a difference between a significant difference in the writing between the demo version and the final track, which is very different from Two Sways or Sunscreen and anything previous.
Hmm. Getting into the next track, Fighting, with Jay Cinema. It has one of the few proper hooks on the album, something that, like, whether it be intentional or not, you tend to reject most of the time. However, on almost all the tracks on this album, there's some sort of like repeated motif, like in most of your music there is. We talked
Yeah.
about motifs a bit in our last interview, but for you, do hooks and motifs kind of serve the same purpose in your music?
Um. Yeah, I'd say so. I think with this album, I like Deadass wanted hooks. I don't know. I've been since Emergency and I've been fucking with hooks heavy. I like hooks. And yeah, I think I wanted like melodic hooks. I think one element of the album that I hope like doesn't get obscured in the madness is like I think it's a pretty melodic album. I think it's a very pretty album. I think it's pretty and melodic, and I think it's like to start hard open, like yeah, starting the album like that. Obviously BCT Baby doing the hook in this way. How long shall we? Like that was like I want this to be a melodic moment. A lot of this album is like a lot of the more melodic moments are responding to usually the outside house beats. Um, Heart Open was the first thing I felt when I was listening to that beat. And I was like, I'm just gonna keep that. On I'm not a doctor. I'll solve all your problems. I was just like, the beat was saying I'll solve, and I was like, word, I feel that. Even this track, it was responding to the beat that BCV rapped over because it just sounds like the sample saying, "How long shall we?" And I was like, word, how long shall we try our best? Facts. But yeah, I don't know. I think I like hooks as like or like just melodies as like a playful thing just to like counterbalance all of the bullshit. It just feels. I think the levity is necessary. I think the levity emphasizes when I'm like being dead ass and being serious, and I think I try to play with levity a lot on this album.
Hmm. Um, how frequently does, because you mentioned like what you heard in the sample, like saying certain things, and you kind of kept that in your verse. How frequently does like sampled beats in that way kind of inform how you start your writing process? Is that usually is that common for you, or is it just like I'm gonna write what I'm gonna write about, regardless of like whatever may be happening behind me?
No, it's not really common. Usually I have like I think I mentioned my poem notes or whatever. So I just have a bunch of fucking lines, and then it's like word these lines fit on this beat in this way, and it's like cool. Um, and I think I still definitely did that on this album, but I think I just also allowed myself to just like have other things impact the album, like let the beats also play a bigger role on the album. Funnily enough, I think like Jay had like a big role on that, like working with Jay so heavily. Because like getting to know his process a bit more intimately, because he's definitely one where it's like the track will be named after either whatever the fuck you name the beat is the name of the track, or like the track is named after the sample. He's hearing the sample and he's thinking of whatever. I mean, Alchemy is like a bunch of that. So I think just working with Jay so closely kind of led to me just picking that up throughout this process.
Getting into the next track, the second single before the release of this album, Gargoyles. Um, Super beautiful track. Like I really love that beat. Shout out to Bloom Cycle on the
Yeah, that beat is sick as hell.
It really is. I saw you mention on Twitter about how you typically don't do songs with a singular theme in this way. What was the
Yeah.
representation of the gargoyle in question on this track, and what inspired the more singular theme for it?
Um, this track is about like my relationship with unhoused people, specifically like my fear of unhoused people, and just how that has to do with my mom's. I remember in like fifth grade, it was like we were going to like practice for like graduations. Or graduations in like Times Square or like 42nd Street, Midtown area, whatever. And I had like a quarter, and this homeless. This is my first time like being in the city with my school at least. You know, my parents take me around the city, whatever. Word. But this unhoused dude was like asking for change, and I had like 50 cents, so I gave him 50 cents, and I'm like, hell yeah, I did a good thing. And then like I got home and I'm all excited to tell my mom, and she kind of like chastised me for it. She's like, oh, you can like steal and this and that, whatever. And it's like no ill will towards her because that's just because of like shit she's going through, you know. So it's like as an adult, I get it, but I also feel like word that I don't know when your mom tells you be actively or passively be scared of niggas, and it's like word, I'm gonna be scared of niggas. And then I started working this mutual aid where I'm like niggas is like working with unhoused people, and I had to like sit with myself and be like, why do I feel tense, you know? And I think that's just kind of like led to Gargoyles existing as a track. Also, I was like heading home one night, and then I was like walking down a block, and then it looked like it was like a gargoyle statue on the floor because my eyesight is bad as fuck. It looked like it was a gargoyle statue on the floor, and then I woke up. Well, I got closer, and it was like a dude just sleeping on the floor. And then I'm thinking of like how we just dehumanize unhoused people, and then just like me looking at this dude and like seeing a gargoyle, and I know I wasn't like intentionally like, oh, he's just as bad as a gargoyle. But I also think of like gargoyle. It's interesting because like gargoyles, I feel like are a sign of class, be it like maybe not necessarily just in like the monetary sense, but also in like social capital. Because like I don't know, when I think of gargoyles, I think of churches. Churches are, whether you're religious or not, the reality churches are important places in this world. I think of churches, I think of rich people when I think of gargoyles. And I think being in New York City, there's a contrast between like rich ass neighborhoods and then niggas begging for money, you know, on these same blocks. And then like niggas will try to just shun these people and act like they're not people, treat them as less than people, treat them as gargoyles. And then it's like, there's also just with America. Oh, I'm saying there's also a lot, but this is all the things that was going through my head. There's also like this dichotomy or this fear of like a hypothetical uprising. The migrants are simultaneously killing everyone and raping everyone and taking our jobs at the same time. You know, they're criminals, but they're also doing all of our jobs at the same time. There's this fear of like, what if they do? What if they revolt? Or what if this? What if that? And I think I don't know. I guess I kind of just applied that to unhoused people and my fear and everything. So all of that, it's like a melting pot of all of those things into that one track.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like in the way that you kind of described like the class issue, especially in New York, I imagine. But for me, being in New Haven, like going downtown and seeing like all these rich Yale kids and just this big ass building and campus, and then seeing a bunch of people that are like, you know, really down on their luck. It is really just like a weird thing to look at and see. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that.
You ever been to Washington Square Park?
I don't think I have.
Washington Square Park is like, it's where NYU is, but NYU doesn't have an actual campus. So it's like NYU surrounding this park, and it's like, it's literally the same thing. It's dead ass the same thing. You got all these rich people going to bum ass NYU and looking down, spitting at, laughing at these unhoused people who are like roaming the park or just like the general area or whatever, you know? It's weird. It's interesting, not interesting, interesting like, but, you know.
On the next track, What I Learned in Boating School is produced by some guy. You end this act of the of the project with Illusion of Progress. And I do want to eventually get to like the three acts of the project that you kind of laid out in the track or the cover title or cover track list rather. Tell me about the significance of the statement Illusion of Progress as it pertains to this track, but also just the first 5 songs, this act in general.
Well, I think if I remember right, or shit, if I did it right, Illusion of Progress is actually like the next act. So like track 6 through 11. But like how it pertains to like this track was one of the last tracks I finished on the album. I had the beat for a while. I did majority of the beat. You did help with the kicks, you know, which I think brought the beat together a lot more. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, this was like, I don't know, I was getting into spats with my girl. And then she was like, it's like you're 40% here and you're 60% not. And then when you get like the dickhead artist thing of like, ooh, I'm going to use that. I know this isn't an appropriate time to like be thinking artistically because we're having like a spat, but like, yeah, I'm finna use that. That was like one of those moments. So I kept that in lock. And then I don't know. I think of like the illusion of progress, and like I feel like I've grown a lot, or I want to feel like I've grown a lot in the past. How I'm 23, in the past like 5 6 years or whatever. But it's like, bro, what if I didn't? Because it feels like I'm just having these same fights in like every relationship and shit like that. So it's just like, yeah, the illusion of progress. Um, but yeah, that's kind of this track is just like kind of just working through that. Just like, what if I'm not progressing? What if I'm not getting better? What if like, yeah, what if my progress is an illusion? I think like the beginning of the verse, specifically that part, blackness in response to gender essentialism, intellectualized pain, and anything for hope. That's on some like, bro, what if I'm a fucking hotep? I don't like hoteps, you know? So it's like, yeah, what if the issue is I'm just a fucking hotep and I'm not even like really grown as a person. I'm like a hotep and a misogynist and everything. Damn. And like, what if I think I'm not a hotep, but I'm just really a hotep? So, like I remember, I think Jay tweeted out the album title, and then I think it was Michael Gabriel responded like, that picture with like Common and Yasin Bey and Talib
I genuinely
Kweli,
stole that album or stole that
bro.
picture
And I
from
was
that tweet.
like, that's funny as fuck because that's really what the energy of saying emergency is. But it's also just like, bro, what if I am a hotep? And what if this album title proves it? And what if this song proves it? What if my living proves it? I don't think I'm a hotep right now. I don't think I'm a hotep. I think I'm I'm an alright guy. But yeah, that's what a lot of this track has to do with. Gender
And
essentialism sucks and is weird, and it feels weird saying that as like a masculine presenting nigga, someone who benefits from the patriarchy.
um, you were right. Illusion of Progress is the second act. I kind of misspoke there, but the first act being Blood in the Wake of Infirm Stance. Um,
Yeah.
for that, what was the or how would you tie that in to these first five tracks, and how
Mhm.
integral was it to the track listing that these first five kind of matched what you were kind of setting out for that first act?
Um. Well, I think a lot of these tracks have to do with like what you do, like having security, and then what you do with said security. The first track being, you mentioned like monetary security, but also just like, yeah, I like, just being like, bro, it's literally just monetary security or just like capitalism. What if I'm just like, what if I just be a regular nigga? What if I don't like resist anything? What if I just take all the benefits I can, be like hella misogynistic, be this, be that, and just like benefit off of that. The second track I feel like has to do with like the security of secrecy. What if I just hide everything? What if I just stay in my foxhole type thing? Fighting, I would also say, just like the hook, especially, just like the ideas presented throughout it, more monetary security. Gargoyles, I think, is the most apparent with like, yeah, man, what if I just like, but and I'm not literally saying this on the tracks, but these are like thoughts going through my head when I'm like organizing this part of the album. It's like I feel like a majority of this has to do with like the grapple of security, but also just like the harm done. And I think boating school puts that in the most when I'm talking about 40/60 there to meet and like I resent being like I'm 40% here, I'm 60% not, and I'm hurting someone who loves me because of that. Because I'm not being sturdy in my stance. I'm hurting people. And I think it's also interesting saying that, like being sturdy and things like that in relation to like masculinity, because that's like something traditionally associated with like traditional masculinity. Like, yeah, you are firm and strong and all of these things. And so I think just yeah, I think it's interesting because there's like a moral element to traditional masculinity that's like, dare I say, valuable? even if I don't like fuck with traditional masculinity, but I think that's like most things. All things have like some element that's like, all right, there's a principle. Because if it didn't have a principle, that like niggas could like consciously or like their morals could like be like, I fucks with this. They wouldn't like cling on to anything else because it's like the cognitive dissonance would probably be too strong. You know, I guess that's a nice way to put it. Like the cognitive dissonance of like that's what a lot of this has security and like the cognitive dissonance of like being secure while like knowing that like some of your security is off the backs of like others' pain and shit like that.
Um, Getting into track 6, Hero
Mm-hmm.
Pond. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Hero Pawn.
Hero Pond. With the
Yeah.
OG. When I googled Hero Pond, I just found a Xenoblade thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what this word is, and then I looked it up and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. Can you explain to me the significance of that title to this track, as someone who had no idea what it was previously?
So on the most basic level, it sounded like the sample was saying Hero Pawn, and Xenoblade is my favorite video game series. So I'm like, nigga, I'm naming this shit Hero Pawn. Hero Pawn specifically refers to the character from Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Hero Ricky, who was the Hero Pawn, which is like, how do I describe him? In the culture, it's technically supposed to be like the, not the mayor, like the defender, someone who goes out to represent his village and like, yeah, we gotta fight a dragon. We're gonna send the hero pawn to go fight the dragon type dude. In reality, it's not spoilers. In reality, that nigga was just in severe debt because he has like 10 kids. And he was in debt for the village, and they needed to send someone off, so they sent him. He's if you look him up, Ricky, he's 40 years old. If you play the game, he does not seem very wise. He seems very stupid and dumb. He has a pretty annoying voice. But then like you get to know his character, and it's like, oh, this nigga got 10 kids for a reason. He got experience. You know, he's like a smart dude. He just, on some level, he's dumb, but he also plays dumb. And I think that's an inherently interesting character in a lot of mediums and things like that. I would say like I could definitely like stretch this and be like, oh, it relates to the track super hard in such and such way, but it really doesn't. I feel like Hero Pond, like 90% of the verse, my verse on Hero Pond is just me kind of like letting my nuts hang. I think when I was like writing this track, and that's something I've been thinking about since writing this track, is like I think we need to diss niggas more on like their moral stances. You know, like I don't give a fuck if you're broke. I'm broke too, but it's like I respect women. No, nigga, I try to. You don't do anything. Oh my gosh, you know. Starting with like the Mobby quote. I think the Mobby quote is really powerful. I think that's a eternal line. That is like a century line. Mobby snapped with that. But then I was also just thinking about like, again, hoteps, and thinking about like hoteps be like Helen's like pseudoscience and shit and conspiracies until like there's a fucking woman involved, until like it's like, oh my gosh, you're doing some, you say you've been hit by a man? No way. Or like, yeah, I fuck with the state now that like the state is punishing a woman. Now I'm not gonna talk about other rappers who hey man, we know, hey man, last year was kind of crazy. That's all I gotta say about that, you know. And when that thing happened last year, I already wrote Hero Pond, and I was like, man, I'm a wizard. You know,
like
as what else might have said.
Really, like not even really that. It's just so prevalent. It's like clockwork. There's always gonna be someone that's just like, you know.
But the court said, okay, bro. All right, man. Yeah. Whatever. But the court said, but like, black men are so oppressed by the same, whatever. But yeah, I think we need this niggas on like their moral stances and question their moral stances on tracks and things like that. You know, stop calling niggas broke and ugly. You know, I don't care if they don't get women. You don't deserve to get women. You don't deserve love. I don't know, man. Yeah.
You know, I hear you. I was like, I could I kind of got like diss track energy from the first like few lines of this album. Like there's like, or sorry, for this song, there's just like a lot of there's little tap in. That's all I gotta
Yeah.
say. But what you were describing with Harapon is just like really interesting about like the character being like presenting more aloof than they actually are. Like first
Yeah.
character that came to mind when you described that was Shikamaru from Naruto. Who's
Yeah.
like low key a
Or
genius, but kind of didn't really like let that
he's
overflow
like
into
the
shit.
quiet nigga though, right?
Yeah,
Or am I
yeah,
think
kind of.
yeah, like he like Ricky's like Ricky would be like a Ricky like acts like Patrick. You know, like when Patrick will like randomly be like the wisest nigga in the room.
Yeah.
Ricky has that same energy.
So he's more like a
Like,
Choji type of character.
yeah, yeah. Or like I don't know Naruto too. What's the frog nigga?
Oh, I haven't watched Naruto in a while, but I know who you're
Like
talking
he was
about.
like the dude who like Naruto like in the time skip went to go train with. I feel like it
Oh,
started with
Jiraiya,
his
Jiraiya.
yeah. It's like that where it's like bro he's goofy as shit but like he'll lock in
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
Um, Getting into the next track, um,
Mhm.
Ethereal, which ended up being like I had heard it when you had kind of were in the like beginning phases of making that song, and then
Yeah.
I guess I don't know how much of it had changed since then. I don't remember too well, but like I remember listening to it when the whole album was done. I was like, yo, this is fucking incredible. Like this beat is fucking crazy. Like the rap, like everything to it was amazing.
Like,
But what I didn't notice at first until I like was able to like read through the lyrics was like ethereal versus ethereal.
yeah.
Um, what was the significance of that play on words? And you tend to do that a lot, where you're kind of like words that sound the same with each other that
Mhm.
are like you're saying different things.
Yeah.
What was the significance of that?
Um, this is the first track I wrote with intention for the album. Gargoyle is the oldest song on the album, but this is the first one that was like, oh, this is going towards this. Um, it was kind of like on the notion of like hearing the sample. It sounded like the sample was saying ethereal. Um, and then I think I was reading this book, Against the Loveless World by Susan Abuhawa, and I think I was on the chapter. I think the chapter is called Chaos Orchestra. And it was like about like this theory, and then they applied this theory to like go fuck up the Israeli niggas. But yeah. So I think I was already thinking about theories, and then it sounded like it was saying ethereal, and then just saying ethereal a whole bunch, and it's like, oh, that kind of sounds like a theory, ethereal. And then I was like, oh, that'd be a fun thing to say. It's like a little thingy. That's all it was. It was just fun to say. Um, I also I think the track is like I'm doing a lot of questioning, which is ironic because I say I don't ask questions, but like I'm doing a lot of questioning on the album, questioning myself on this specific song. So yeah, I'm presenting my theory, if you will, in a very orchestrated chaos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see like this being in the illusion of progress after the album. Like looking through some of the lyrics, like my worst traits persistent, small slithers generate new variations of the same petals, withers when tossed. Like I kind of understand as you explain the
Mm,
illusion of progress part how everything kind of ties together in that way.
yeah.
Um, for I'm not a doctor, I'm a physicist.
Mm.
Why was it important for this to be the lead single for you?
Oh, I was trying to bust niggas' heads. I don't know, man. Just like niggas think they know me because like they heard fucking Sunscreen. And it's like, oh, Shamar raps on this. No, nigga, I rap on whatever the fuck I want to rap on. Oh man, you get like niggas be sending you the fucking beats, and it's like this. No, let me stop. I'm trash. Let me stop. Oh, but yeah, it was that level to it. Yeah, it was just like I don't know. I wanted to like I knew this was really different from Sunscreen, so I wanted to like present it just like nah, this is me, and it's also because like I think there's like a cognitive dissonance when you're working on really different projects while other projects are releasing. So it's like I'm working on this and niggas are hitting me about sunscreen and like, oh my god, so happy, and I'm sitting here suffering and miserable and depressed and everything, and I'm keeping a strong face, but it's like, so it was like, yeah, I think the second I did that track, I was like, this is going, whatever the fuck this is the first single, this is the first, I want the first words, but also I guess on some like dickhead rapper bragging shit, because I don't know, the first lines being born made for boombox, resting atop doomsday clock. Like that's just like, oh yeah, I'm a good ass rapper. Yeah, put me on your boombox. So I don't know. I just feel like that's a cool introduction to the world and like a reintroduction to Shamar, the rapper.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think you definitely accomplished that. I think like the energy of the start of the track is just very like a little ominous, and then you kind of just cut in like really talking your shit.
Mm.
Was something in the song. So one of the lines that stuck out to me, checkpoint crystal ball, baby Bible like Codex Giga, little hand shadow swan serenade my forge for more. Um,
Mm.
what did that? What significance does that hold to you?
Um, I was thinking about when I was a kid. I had like a we had like a baby Bible. Like it was the Bible, but it was like translated for babies, so everything was a lot simpler. But I don't know. I think of like when you're a kid and you consume even the simplest knowledge, it's like head busting. It's like, what the fuck? How does the world sit and operate like that? So I think like, just searching for knowledge. I spent a lot of time as a kid just like reading shit, and it's just like constantly getting my head busted, like wide open. It's like, yo, this is crazy. Yo, this is crazy. And it's like 2 plus 2 is the same as 2 times 2. Yo, what the fuck? you know? So yeah, I think that's just kind of like responding to that, but also thinking about it through the lens of Christianity and creation and origins and shit like that. Because I think a lot of this track has to do with like maybe less so religion on some level, religion, but more so just like origins, especially as like a Black American and shit like that. So yeah.
Um, track or the next track, nature is supposedly all algorithms.
Mm.
Um, it ends with a James Baldwin clip about
Yeah.
love and its limitless nature and the importance of being truthful about love. When
Mm.
writing for this track, how much of the lyrics were informed? Like, was it a situation where you had obviously had known that clip and then had started writing based off of like how you felt about that, what he was saying there, or was it just like you wrote and you thought, oh, this is super applicable?
Yeah, it's definitely the latter. I didn't find that clip until I was like mixing, and I was just like, I don't even think I was like looking for. I was like, oh man, I need a clip to put here. It was more just like I ran into it. I just happened to run into it at that time, and I was like, oh, this is exactly what this track needs. I already had the first half of the track. I want to say I already had. No, I definitely already had at least the idea for my friend's emergency tag to go there. But I don't know if I had, and I had that second beat, but I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know where the status of the track when I got the James Baldwin clip. But yeah, I was just like, listen, I don't know, I was just doing what I do, watching videos, and I found some shit about James Baldwin. That track has a lot to do with like my gender identity, specifically like rejecting masculinity, attempting to like reject all the parts of masculinity. I was like, nah, I don't really fuck with this. And then just like my homie, they're non-binary. They're really cool, and we met, and it was cool. And then I don't know. I've had like a lot of experiences with their dead name, which feels like weird to say. It was like we were like eating out, and then it was just like who's gonna pay for the food type thing, and they wound up paying, and I looked at the card, and I just like, I don't know, I just assumed the card was like their moms or something like that, but it was like, no, that's your dead name. And I was like, oh, word, cool, that's cool information. I know you as the name in which you gave me, and that's who you are to me, and that's what that's who you want to be, that's who you are, type shit. Well, not you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and I remember maybe like a year or so later, sometime later, we were at school. We both go to school, same school, And then they were telling me about like this one club in the school that somehow acquired their dead name. So you can see like in the text, it's like automated text. And then it's like, hey, name, blah, 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 blah. Hey, name, blah, 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 blah. Hey, dead name, blah, 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 blah. And then we're just like, how did you even get this? And you had, how did you do this? And that kind of just played a role in like the end of my verse or whatever. And then just the idea of like being non-binary and gender and everything, I think is, I don't think James Baldwin specifically is talking about being non-binary, but it just felt applicable to being non-binary. So it felt relevant to put there, and it felt relevant and necessary to put there and exist in that world, especially with the Outside House sample being like loving you disguised. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about like our bodies as like disguises for like our true selves, like our physical appearances and things like that, especially in the lens of gender, because like gender norms and shit like that. And especially because like I don't present in a particularly androgynous way. I don't think my friend presents in a particularly androgynous way, and I don't think they would say that they present in a particularly androgynous way. But yeah, and I don't know, I feel that way about like a good amount of my non-binary friends, but that doesn't like take away from the fact that they're non-binary. Their expression of self doesn't take away from like who they are, or like it shouldn't. But like sadly, people will be weird. So yeah.
We didn't talk too much about like the album title itself being Emergency. At what point in the creation process did that feel like that was gonna stick as the title?
Mad early, like dumb early. Like what happened was I got the first pack from Outside House, and I was like, I'm just gonna make an EP, and I'm gonna call it Emergency Raps. But I was like, wait, no, Twame already did that. And he had like the Fly Anakin one, the Concept Jackson one. So I was like, damn it, I can't name it that. But then I was just like sitting with the word emergency, and I was like, oh man, emerge NC, that's kind of funny. I fuck with that, so I just named it Emergency, and I was like, I'll figure out what the fuck it means later. And then over time, I feel like I figured out what it meant. I used to say, it's like, you gotta like you can like sit in your trauma, and you could like not face the world, you can sit in your secrets and everything, but that shit's gonna come to light, and it's like you gotta go outside, you gotta go get punched in the face for what you did. You have to emerge and see whatever the fuck happens. Yeah, I think that's why I appreciate the cover so much, because it's like you have like the leaves surrounding, and it's like it just looks like an abyss, and it's like you got to go outside of that abyss, or like, yeah, type shit.
That makes a lot of sense. Like when I'm thinking about the album and how much of your own shortcomings are displayed on the album, and how much you're like confronting yourself about those shortcomings.
Yeah.
I think that's just an important thing that people need to get used to, like holding yourself accountable, and also like not coddling yourself in a way where it's like excusing whatever your behavior was, and like kind of giving yourself a slap on the wrist. Like you gotta like come face to face with what those things are, so you can kind of really improve.
Yeah, exactly.
With No Better Blues, with Hester Valentine, like I've been saying it for like, you put me on whenever Hester drops his debut work with Outside House. But like this year, it's like I've always been a fan of his since you put me on, but this year it's like super clicked with Hester, and it's just like seeing his versatility and everything that he's like able to do, which is just like everything is just like
exactly.
really like, he's definitely one of my favorite rappers at the moment. For this for this song, as someone who hasn't seen the movie Mo Better Blues, speak to the relevance of the movie and the track title and how it relates to your experiences.
Oh man, this is I saw Mo Better Blues, and I felt like I related a little too much to the main character Bleak, so I started wilding out, and then boom, you get this track. Mo Better Blues is about this. I believe his name is Bleak. He's played by Denzel Washington. So I'm just gonna say Denzel Washington. It's about this nigga who's played by Denzel Washington, and he plays the trumpet, and he's fucking with two women, and they're like, "Look, I love you. You know, you got your music thing. That's cool. But you fucking with this other girl, and I kind of don't like that, because, like, you know, I'm fine, I'm beautiful, and I deserve to be loved without, like, any qualms." And he's just like, "Nah, I can't. I don't do that. I'm a trumpet player at the end of the day. Everything else is my side hustle, including women." Yeah, and then he gets punched in the lip, and he can't play the trumpet anymore. Like, he fucking sucks. So he goes to one of these women, and then he's like, "Please be with me, please be with me, please be with me." And then, oh fuck, I'm spoiling the movie. Spoiling the fuck out of the movie. Oh my god. Oh my god. Skip ahead. Watch More Better Blues.
We'll figure something out.
Watch More Better Blues. Yeah. Oh, but so do I keep spoiling it?
Yeah, keep doing it.
Whatever.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Yeah. You put like a skip to spoiler type thing.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. He's like, "Please be with me. Please be with me. Please be with me." And she says yes. And then they just have a kid. And like the movie ends, so it ends a reflection of the first scene where like his wife is like, "Keep playing the trumpet," and then he's like, "Actually no, go be outside with your friends." And it's like, "Aw," but it's like, what the fuck? So he did all this, and he got like a happy end. I don't know. I feel weird about the ending, but like I also get it. It's interesting. But it's a really good movie. It just reminded me of myself too much. Obviously, like the good sides are like, "Oh my goodness, he's so passionate," you know. And then the bad sides, which is like reflected on this track. I think it was that level of it, and I don't know. Me and my partner have a lot of conversations about money, because, you know, she understandably, for a variety of reasons, likes stability and wants stability, and I want to be an underground rapper and a school counselor. You know, I'm not like trying to be, clearly I'm not rolling in dough or anything like that, you know. So yeah, so that kind of just came out on this track, and I think in a really cool way. I really appreciate this track a lot. This track was like, it felt really brutal to make. The original version is arguably even more brutal, but I think this strikes a nice balance between like being brutal and also just like, I don't know, reflecting who Shemar the rapper is, and Mo Better Blues the movie and shit like that. Yeah, I like this track a lot. It's really cool. Good music.
Definitely good music. Something I wanted to ask about, kind of just like features in general, not necessarily specifically Esther, but is it frequent for you when you're getting somebody on a feature for your album? Are you kind of trying to inform them of what to talk about, or do you kind of just let them hear the track and kind of form their own thing, or is it kind of like you just let them just be like, just, you know, go wild?
I try to inform them of what I'm talking about, and then whatever they do based on that is like, word, cool. With Mo Better Blues, I had the beat. When I got the beat, I hit Hester and I was like, "Yo, do you fuck with this beat?" Because I knew I wanted Hester on the album, so I was like, "Yo, do you fuck with this beat?" And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Word, I'll let you know what I do." And then I did it, and then he was like, "Word." So it's like, you know, I give them just here's what I did, here's what I'm thinking about on this track. If you want to ask more stuff, cool. And it depends from person to person. Jay is, for example, is someone where we just kind of get it. Jay will send me a thing, word, cool, boom, done. Or I'll send Jay a thing, word, cool, boom, done. With Hester, for example, Hester, I think, is really like considerate of like, what do you want from me? How do you want me to approach it? Which is like, for me, it's usually like, what do you want me to do? How long do you want it to be? And I'm just kind of like, here's what I did. Do you know? And in this case, this was the byproduct of it, you know. But I have one other joint with, no, well, Actually, I have more joints with Andrew now, or with Hester now. But up to the point in which we did Mo Better Blues, we did like one track before that, which is probably never gonna come out. But that track was kind of the same thing, where it was like I did a thing, and Hester's like, "What do you want me to do?" And I'm like, "Do you?" And then he does you, he does him, and it's great. So yeah, I don't know. I like, and I think that's also like how I like being a. I hate when, like, if someone came to me, I think maybe I mentioned it in this one or like the Cow Chops interview from before, whatever, where it's like, hey man, I need 16 bars. That's already mad limiting. Just let me do whatever the fuck I want, you know. Or this is a concept song about squares, and it's like, well, what if your square is making me think of my rectangle? You know, is rectangles too far? And it's like, no, I want to rap about rectangles. You know, I appreciate when a feature, there's like a through line. It's like something I could cling to, and then I could just take it my way. So yeah, that's what I think about when it comes to features. And off of that, I try to let people who feature on my tracks do the same thing. Cling on to what you want. BCV baby, my shame, your shame in sheep's clothes. Word, do you? You know, let's just see what happens.
I think that's really interesting that, like, I don't know, that someone would come up to you and be like, 16 bars. That's
No, that's never happened before. At least, thank God. I don't think I'm in the space where niggas like, you must give me 16 bars.
Right.
But like, you just the hypothetical of like, I want this feature to exist in, like, with Mo Better Blues. This is actually a perfect example of like my vision for Mo Better Blues was I was gonna get yelling, screaming ass Hester, you know, black ass Hester, you know. So when I got this really fucking subdued verse, it was like, okay, I need to change my expectations are changed. Now, what did he actually give me? And we sit with the verse. It's like, oh, this is peak music. All right, so I got even better than whatever the fuck I was envisioning. Cause look at this, you know.
Right.
So yeah, but that wouldn't have happened if I was like, yeah, man, I need that can't cut your hair, you know. We wouldn't have had this track in this way.
Right, for sure. Next track being Destroy, Build, Destroy with Bagel. Um, I feel like this is not even something that, like, I was planning on asking, but I feel like you have a lot of references to things that maybe have, like, influenced your childhood in a certain way, or are kind of like callbacks to certain things, like where I learned at boating school is, and Harapon, and things like that. Um, what is that? What is the significance of that for you? Like, how important is it for you to kind of call back to your childhood to kind of inform or kind of explain what you may be rapping about now?
I think, I don't know. I think on a generic level, when you start thinking about trauma, and then you have the realization, oh, it all goes back to childhood. It all goes back to when I was 6 years old. I think on some level, it's that. But I think that was just kind of the aesthetic for this album. I think I've done it. I think I still do it in like my writing and things like that. But I think with the titles of this album, it was really specifically intentional for it to be referential. The first track, Sore Crest, are acronyms from my elementary school. Yeah, and you brought up boating school. Hero Pond is more from me being a bit older, but still like high schoolish is when I really started getting into Xenoblade. I'm not a doctor, I'm a physicist is apparently a Star Trek reference to some character. I've never seen Star Trek in my life, but my cousin had a Star Trek Burger King toy, and the dude would say, I'm not a doctor, I'm a physicist. You know? So I don't know, I think there's just like a playfulness between like the innocence of like, oh, the track title and shit like that. I kind of appreciate that you asked that in reference to Destroy, Build, Destroy, because I'm guessing you at least know of Destroy, Build, Destroy. Yeah. And that was like, bro, I think I was talking about it with Mega from Secret House, and I was just explaining the premise of the show to him, and it's like, bro, that's a crazy thing to exist on Cartoon Network. You just got this white dude blowing up cars.
Like having a bunch of like teenagers just be like, how can we build the most destructive contraption imaginable?
Exactly. And then destroy it again.
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, and
Um,
obviously I think there's something about each track that like reminds me of said thing, you know. But I think almost all of the titles are like pretty referential. Mo Better Blues is reference, you know. Fighting is like I think it's like a fucking K-pop thing or some shit. I don't fully know it. My girlfriend would know better than me, but she would say that to me. But I'm like going through it, and I was like, "Where? I'm gonna name a track "Fighting" with all those G's at the end." You know? So yeah,
um, and then one of the lyrics that stuck out to me on this song that I wanted to ask you about was dwindling promises of the outskirts of a gnat. Acknowledgement is a suicide pact. God warping a survival tactic. My molar is a cheek pouch. Can you kind of just walk me through some of those lines?
yeah. I think it's also funny the tracks that you've asked for like the walkthroughs of like the lines and shit having to do with like a specific relationship and like the everything that happened after that relationship. I think this one is about like a lot of emergency. Also, I mean, maybe it'll come up later in the interview. I think it comes up most apparently on the last track, but it has to do with like dreams because I was having like wild dreams all throughout emergency. Like I would have dreams and then like I would feel so much guilt from said dream that I just wouldn't go back to sleep. And then with Destroy Build Destroy, it was like I had a dream about my ex, and I lay out the dream right in the beginning. I kiss what I can make visible of a chest, gentle as an offering, and shit like that. But even like me waking up from the dream a few minutes before 7, decaying night shift. So this one is just kind of like about um like I had in this relationship, broke up, and then I did the like I had a personal event that happened to me that led to me not talking to this person anymore. But it took me time to like fully piece together. Oh, this is why I didn't talk to this person, and this and that, and how it was like how traumatic the event was, I guess. But I eventually, in between me having that realization, I did reach back out and did the generic. I don't know. I disappointed you, I guess, which was in part true, but also the reality was something a lot more complicated than that. But it's like, yeah, I broke promise to them. And like I could acknowledge that, like I could acknowledge the truth behind why I broke this promise and why things turned out the way they are. But it's like it's much more complicated than that. And like I don't want to interrupt someone else's healing and shit like that. So here we are. Instead of apologizing to their exes, niggas make albums about their sexual trauma. So here we are. So yeah, that's what that specific part has to, especially like acknowledgement is a suicide pact, God, warp, and survival tactics. God, maybe more so meaning like I don't know, morality, perceived notion of goodness, perceived notion of badness, shit like that. Yeah. Oh, and the Molar line has to do with Ramadan. I think like on every project, I always have a Ramadan bar because I usually write like one crazy fucking joint during Ramadan, and this was the crazy joint I wrote during Ramadan. So it's there, it exists.
That makes sense. That makes sense. The third act of the album, World End Innate, Not Inevitable, is kicked off with hypertension, Muttley laughter.
Yeah.
Tell me about what you feel the shift is between the second and third acts of this album, and how the significance of placing this track was so why was placing this track here so significant for you?
I think the big shift is like there's actually hope at the end of the album. Uh, 6 through 11, more so really like 7, 10, and 11 especially are like, at least to me, they're like fucking bleak. Like they're like nigga is not in a happy place. And I think I don't know, on the original version, the version of the album that Outside House fully produces, it ends like that. It ends on a hypothetical destroy, build, destroy. Millennium produced destroy, build, destroy. But yeah, it's not. There's no levity. It's just down and down and down and down and down. But like a lot of these, I think the last few songs in the album are like some of the last songs I made for the album, and I think they represented a shift in my mentality. Which I mean, I guess we'll get more into like delete glitch later, but like glitch played a really big role in in that shift. Um, but I don't know, hypertension felt significant to put here because destroy build destroy was so bleak. And that's not to say like hypertension is a happy song per se, but I think it's a much warmer song. I think it handles the notion of fear a lot different than the middle of the album does. The middle of the album is like lashing out in response to these fears. Well, hypertension is like a real intimate, like, I'm a kid and I'm scared, And I think, yeah. But like, yeah, I'm a kid. Inner child shit, really. That's what I think, yeah. And I think the last few songs of this album have a lot more to do with like children, be it myself, be it the kids I work with. Shit, even thinking more now, Def C raps about his relationship with his child. Yeah. So I think that's like a big shift. A shift from like, this is the I'm in the world now. I think I spend so much of this album in my head. It's cool having the end of the album be like really actually emerging and seeing, you know?
Yeah, and I think you did a really good job of obviously like you wrote to with that in mind, but also like having the production kind of match that as well. Like
Mhm.
the last five beats on the album do not sound like the middle five beats or middle six beats in the first five songs. Like everything is kind of like sonically kind of makes sense in terms of how the acts
Yeah.
are put together.
Yeah. I think that was like kind of a scary part of working on the album though. Um, yeah, because I guess I was really worried about like it sounding too different. That's why I feel like hopefully it works out in the end. But like just like with my mixing, I tried to like one of my goals with the mixing was like making everything feel similarly full and arguably kind of chaotic on some level or something. Just being like overwhelming isn't the right word, but kind of is the word I want to use. I feel like some of the outside house beats are like kind of overwhelming, and I want like hypertension to like fuck this beat is a lot, but like in a good way. I don't want it to just, yeah. I don't know. That's just something I was thinking about in relation to like what you're saying about the sequencing, but also just like how I mixed it in response to said sequencing. Because I don't know, I wanted it to be like an album that can comfortably jump around sonically while still feeling cohesive.
Hmm, that makes sense. With Albany Ave, you
Mm-hmm.
talk about your relationship with the kids you mentor, as you had mentioned before. Do you feel
Mm-hmm.
like that counselor mentorship role has affected or improved your artistry at all?
Yeah, I'd say so because it just makes me like perceive the world more. I have like more perspective. I don't know. I work with like high schoolers, so it's like we could shoot the shits, and it's like sometimes I gotta send them. Like usually we could just shoot the shits, and it's like cool, and it's a vibe, and it's fun. So yeah, I think just being able to shoot the shits with like significantly more people is like naturally going to help my music a lot, especially like getting to know people on a different on a like just getting to know people over time. Because like, yeah, they're kids, but these kids are still people with experiences, with their own unique experiences and shit like that. And I mean, like, it led me to write this track, and I think this track is like some of the best writing on the album. Like from a strictly like straight like rapping quality, I think this might be like arguably the best verse on the album, or my best verse on the album. It's up there. It's somewhere in just like these 11, 12, 13, in my opinion, those three are probably like, yeah, this is the best rapping on the album from me. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it shows that it's like, it's helping. I don't know. I'm trying to think about, that's an interesting question. I'm trying to think about like stuff beyond emergency and like the role my kids have played in that stuff. Um, and I don't have an answer, but I'm definitely thinking about it now. You know.
Hmm. I feel you. I feel like because I also work with high school kids, so I'm just like
Mm.
I kind of started thinking to myself if that has had any affect on my musical whatever in any way, which I know is like obviously different because you're like writing your feelings out opposed to me kind of whatever I do. And I don't know. I think it's an interesting thought, especially like just some of the writing on here like seems to be like very explicitly referential to some of the kids that you work with, and like kind of pushing them to follow their dreams and just like believe in themselves and things like that, as you mentioned before.
I don't know. I think there's also like an element of like when it goes to like I guess the complicated feelings surrounding the album. There's an element of like a question of like what if your kids' dreams go against like your political values? Because it's like yeah, one of my kids was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a fucking lieutenant, and I'm just sitting there. I'm looking at my homie, and I'm like, yo. I mean, like, go do your thing, but it's like, fuck, do another thing. Or like part of me wants to be like that, but like, I don't got it in me. I don't. I remember I was talking to one of my homies about that, and she was like, nah, you gotta have it in you. And I was like, fuck, I don't know if I can. you know.
I hear you. No, that was definitely one of the lines that like super stuck out to me on this song. It was like, damn, like how do you approach that situation where it's like you are a mentor to this child and you have this like that type of relationship, and it's just like
Yeah.
they come to you with like something that they've probably like gone over in their head a bunch of times of what they want to do, and then it's just like, damn, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, but it's also like going back fucking capitalism. It's also just like her acknowledging that like just going to the military is like this is the financially the best decision I could make. And I'm working like inner city kids, and it's like that's the reality for mad niggas. Why are niggas in the military? Because it's financially the best decision they felt they could make to get that college degree. And that's like it's easy. I think it's mad easy when you have like no skin in the game in the sense like you're not talking to these kids and you're just like you're in the military. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck if you're 17 years old, And it's like, dog, no, I dead ass care about this person a lot. I want nothing but the best for her. But it's like, fuck, you gotta do this shit. I think Joy James touches on it on the clip on Ethereum where she's like, yeah, what if you love someone and they want to be in ice? It's like, yo, dog, what? I don't know, man. And yeah, but yeah, you wanna work for the United States government to the fullest extent. It's a complicated thing, especially when you taught them, and then it's like, damn, is this what you got for me? I gotta sit with myself.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. I definitely love the writing on that track. The next track being the title track, with Delete Glitch and Def C. We both provided like fucking stellar verses. Like I can't say enough good things about what they provided to that song. Tell me about the structuring of that song, how you enlisted both Delete Glitch and Def C individually, and how you kind of determined how that was gonna go.
Okay, so I like start from like beginning to end with this song. This song is really, I got the two beats, I think maybe in the same pack from Outside House, and I knew like these beats have to go together. There's something in them that's like this must be the same beat. And then from Brass, the More Mother and Woods project, the last track of Brass has More Mother rapping over the beat switch. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. I'm going to do that. So I already knew, like, I have to be in the middle so I can rap over the beat switch. It was really cool studying that song, hearing how, like, Willie Green changed the way, like, the EQ of More Mother's vocals or whatever through the... So sick. So I jacked his whole flow. I jacked More Mother's whole flow. And I was like, I'm going to do that. So boom, I already knew that was the goal. It was just like, what the fuck was going to happen from there? Started working on the album. Delete Glitch hits me maybe about obtuse ways, and then Burning Macaw, who's my best friend, was working on Delete Glitch's album cover. So we just start shooting the shits. We have a really important conversation which kind of led to my realization about shock value that I mentioned way earlier. Delete Glitch played a big role in that, and it kind of changed my philosophy when it comes to finishing this album, and honestly, just rapping as a whole, like dead ass. But all for that conversation, I was like, wow, what a wonderful conversation we just had. What do you think of this beat? And saying everything off this conversation onto this beat. So I gave him the first beat. And then like a couple weeks later, he just sent me what you hear on the track, the fucking hook and all. He mixed his vocals. I like touched it up a little bit, but a lot of the mixing was just him. So it was like, boom, I hear it for the first time, I just cry because that hook is just so beautiful and it's so poignant. I think I've been thinking about this recently. I feel like each part of our album, each part of the song hits on like a different idea of the album in a really poignant way, you know, that I really fuck with. Delete Glitch feels like the end of the album. You know, it feels a bit more hopeful, but still reflective and still poignant and shit like that. I feel like my verse feels, I don't know, maybe more like the beginning of the album, maybe the middle of the album. I don't know. I think my verse is a little more like little more downtrodden than Delete Glitch is. But still just touching on love and touching on shit like that. And then with Def C, I had my part, I had Glitch's part. No, I think when I met Def C, I didn't have my part written yet. But we just like shot the shit. Def C's really cool. It's all this shit. But found out we have vaguely similar like writing lineages through like the spoken word scene and shit like that, which was really cool to find out. This had to be not too long after Sunscreen dropped. And then basically I wrote my part. I hit him for the feature. He sent the feature back a couple weeks later. It was that, and then I kind of felt like Earl on Tabula Rasa. Like I feel like I just got bodied by Woods and the Rooster, you know, and I'm just the verse that exists, and there's these two titans next to my verse, making me feel so irrelevant. But like my verse is growing on me. But yeah, Def C's verse is fucking nuts. It was like that's a verse that was like I remember I got it and I went to Outside House and I was like, yo, it's fucked up that he didn't put this on his album. This makes me scared to hear his next album. Like this is a verse you do on a feature. This isn't, oh, I gotta keep this. You know, this is my song now.
Right.
What the fuck? So yeah, shout out Def C. I'm so excited for this next album. I'm a big Def C fan. That's that dude. He's my favorite white rapper.
Shout out Def C. Shout out to Beach. You know, like that song is like, I remember like literally texting you like, yeah, that's one of my favorites off one of the first listens. And it's like I remember specifically saying like, there's not many songs that are like this long that I'm like, this is my favorite song. Like I am, you know, as much a victim to internet short attention span brain as anybody. So like when I hear like a super long, or a rap song in particular, but a super long or a 4 to 5 minute rap song, and for that to be my favorite was just like a testament to just how good that song is.
Oh, much love.
And then with the final track, Location Origin with Money for Water, I felt like it was just like super fitting that he ended the album with his verse, and just like the way he ended it, like the thing that Money for Water does best in my opinion is he finds ways to like get his point across and like lay out all the things that he sees an issue with, and then also being like, yeah, these are problems, but we are capable of like solving that issue and like becoming better just like as a people. And I feel like that kind of encapsulates like this whole third act of the album. Why is it important for you to make this the outro track?
It just felt right. I got the beat from Sasko. He just fucking sent it to me, and he's like, "Oh, I just did a thing," and it's like, "Nigga, give me this beat." Thank you for finishing my album. I think I was like, I'm thinking about it now. I was so lost on how to end the album. Um, yeah, when I got this beat, I don't even think I had, when I got the beat, I don't think I had Albany. I don't think I had Fighting. I don't think I had Boating School. So it was, the album was a lot more sparse, and I was like, I don't know how to end, because I knew I couldn't end it even, but this was before I had the Def C verse, so I didn't know what he would say, but or what whoever would say, but I knew it couldn't end on that beat. Like it needed a, I hate having grand things, but I knew it was like this should have a grand ending. This should be a big boom, not like it shouldn't end like a wet fart or like some sadness or what the fuck ever. But when I got the beat, I was like, oh, okay, this is how we end the album. Cool, perfect. Um, I think my verse informed a lot of the things, and my verse feels like, I don't know. This one probably isn't anywhere near as obvious as Hero Pon is, but this is also a Xenoblade reference. This is a reference to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Um, this is, oh, yeah, how do I? It's a relevant part in the world of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I don't want to spoil it because like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is like 90% of the game is like so good. The ending, I don't like the ending much, but like 90% of the game is so good. And I was like, everyone should just, chapter 5 of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is my favorite gaming experience of all time. So good. So good. But yeah. But a lot of that album has to do with like themes of like being trapped in the endless now, and they're basically like, the thing trapping them is in part this thing called Origin. The niggas go to Origin, they beat the bad guy. That's the TLDR of the fucking thing. But yeah, so like being trapped in the endless now, which I think is relevant to this album because it's like, not growing up, not maturing, not becoming a better person when you know you could be a better person and shit like that. And I think that this track orbits around that a lot. Um, this track was really hard to write. I think because like I had a vision for the flow, and I think that's something that I don't know if I really mentioned in this interview, but for a lot of these songs, I had like really particular visions for like the flows and things like that. Or it's like I have like little rapper challenges, and one of them was like I want to rap slower. That's how you get I'm not a doctor. It's like I want to rap really slow and use less words, and that's how you get like Sore Crest to an extent. And that's definitely how you get Origin. Once I had like the hook, I knew like, yeah. Oh, with the hook, Kavesi is one of the warring nations in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So it's all there. It's all there. But yeah, um, I don't know. Yeah, I had a specific vision for the flow, and I knew I wanted to keep it for the whole verse, so that made it really fucking hard to write said verse. I had like a majority of this verse written, but I didn't finish it until I finished the rest of the album. Like those last few lines, it's just like were escaping me. I couldn't put it together until, yeah. But yeah, I'm really proud of this track. I think it came together super well. Money for Water. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna do this moving forward. Like I don't think I'm gonna be super set on because I want to, I want every album to be its own experience. But like when I was doing this, I was like, Money for Water should just end all of my albums. Like that should just be a thing that exists. And we'll see if it continues whenever the fuck album 3 comes out. Because who knows what that'll look like. But yeah, for this one, I was like, this is the outro, so this is where Money for Water will be. That's just the way it is. And thankfully, it was a sick ass beat from Sasco, and it inspired him to do that. And I think you summarized it perfectly. And I think, I don't know, it felt like, all right, now we're in the real world. And this was really happening in the real world, So, and Money for Water is just good at talking about the real world. So I'm really happy to have a song. Ironically, the whole thing of Origin is like, we need to escape Origin and we need to get to the real world. So yeah, man, this makes me appreciate the song even more. Yeah, this is a sick song. But yeah, that's really it with the song. It's cool shit. Actually, I guess more interesting things. This feels like a real full circle moment for like me and Sasco. I don't know if like he agrees, But like when we started like becoming cool, it was supposed to be like, oh, we're gonna do an EP, and I had an idea. The name of the EP was "Make the First Thing the Last," which is from that audio clip that's like sprinkled throughout Origin, which I think is from Sesame Street. But I just I heard the audio thing on Twitter, and I was like, yo, this is fucking sick. I wanna, yeah. So I don't know. It feels relevant having like "Make the First Thing the Last" on like the Sasko beat, and it'd be like this glorious ass song. This feels like real cool summation of like our friendship on some level. So I really fuck with that on like a personal level. But yeah, cool shit.
Yeah, the whole album is cool shit. Like this, like
Oh, much love.
again, like I, as someone who was able to watch the process of the album being built and like coming in and like listening to it in different phases, is just like it's just so impressive. It doesn't get any less impressive hearing you rap. Like
I appreciate that.
You're like incredibly talented. To end the album breakdown, I want to know if you were forced to pick a favorite line that was not written by you on this album. I'm not gonna ask you favorite feature because that doesn't make any sense. But like,
Yeah.
a favorite line from somebody else on this album.
Oh my gosh. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me make sure I quote these niggas right. Let me see. Um, can I like cheat a little bit? Can I do like a favorite part of each feature? Cause I wanna highlight everyone.
Sure, yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah, there we go. All right, we're gonna go in feature order. BCV baby. Um, Let me see. Oh, to avoid danger, Athena tells me stay out of touch and stay out of reach. I think in part I like that so much because I like how I mixed it. Like stay out of touch, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so cool, it's so pretty. I think that yeah, that's probably like my favorite line. I like the idea. Either way, silence follows us. That's really cool. Yeah. Shepherd, tell me where to go. My shame in sheep's clothes. Like yeah, that's sick. Um, with Jay, um, let me think. Let me look at this real quick. I don't know. I really like how he comes in. How long can a nigga try honestly? Like, come on, dead ass.
That's the
How
real
long?
the album for real. How long can I get try? Like for real.
Oh my gosh, bro. Yeah, I love how he comes in so much. That nigga came in swinging, bro. Shout out to Jay. Warren also came in. I'm sorry. Yo, G also came in swinging. Um, yeah. Um, it's funny because I like only heard the verse, but I recently just got the lyrics for the verse, so I'm like I gotta like really really look and make sure I'm like not misquoting him. Um, let me see. Let me see. Um, I really like the part. So he's like I stay inside unless I'm summoned. Sanctioned niggas know how to tide approaching. Wash you up if I ain't rocking with you. Lost in the waves. I'm trying to keep my mind open, empty. It's overflowing. Walk with the divine. Of everybody around me culminated of the most potent. I don't know. That just feels like real like community bars, and I think there's like a communal element to the album. Like I don't think we touched on it too much, but it's like, bro, the credits of this album are fucking long as shit.
Right.
There's multiple, obviously all the features, all of the producers, gang on the master. My homie Jaleesa did the cover. My homie Jasa did the typography on the cover and the album credits. I'm probably forgetting shit. Oh my god, I listed like the fucking books that I was reading, and yeah, and that's not to mention like Brian doing the single and then Heretic doing the other single. The art Brian did Gargoyles, Heretic, yeah. So it's like, and the majority of these people, like 99% of the people I just listed are like, they're my friends, right? They're like homies. So it feels nice having someone like mention that communal element in such a cool way. Hester, let me find it. He's like, oh my gosh, Hester is so much. He said more ADP variations in COVID strains. Fucking hilarious. I didn't get it until I started my new job and I used ADP and I was like, yo, this nigga is so good. He's so good. He's so good.
His pen
Oh,
is
he has
fucking ridiculous. He's like the wittiest rapper. Like,
yo, dead ass. Nah, he had that part where he's like, I love my mother, but she wasn't put on this earth to teach. Mumbled, I'm stuck, and they politely reminded that's on me. What the fuck? Oh my gosh. Dug in my cleats, my summer fully bundled to heat. I can shrug off the depression, but I gotta eat. Frail chest to beat, fled to the drums, dropped the diary to a mom, spoiled my love in retreat. Hate myself so bad, I'm mad you're loving me.
bro, like what the, like who's rapping like that? Like, what is this? Oh my goodness! It like you ever like just get so mad that someone's so good at rapping? It's just like,
Yo, what
damn,
the fuck, bro? Why did he say that on my album?
that's
See,
like
that's another one. You save that shit for yourself.
right, right.
Nah, bro. But yeah, fucking crazy, fucking crazy. Bagel, nigga, I could quote this. This whole fucking verse is like dead ass unbelievable. Sometimes I listen to this album and I'm like, I think Bagel has the best verse on the album. His verse is so fucking sick. But what really sticks with me is the end of his verse where they're like, I wanted free reign till I didn't. I skipped the refrain till I miss it. That's so crazy. That's so, especially like I wanted free reign till I didn't is like, it's such a simple line, but that's the album. Nigga put the whole album in a line. It was like, yeah, I'm just word cool.
Also, that's
You
just
know?
like good like rapper shit. Free reign till I didn't, refrain till I miss it. Like that's just good rap.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's the layup. But it's like
Yeah,
not even the layup is like that's easy to do, but it's like, yeah, that's the thing to do. That's the motion. That's the movement. You know? Bagel's like blasphemy according to who your God ain't carved those tablets, abandon all hope, mouth of madness, plaque red, no others before me. It's only you in those landscape tantrums. She wanted punch drunk love and Nate ramblings, but I hit so I wouldn't go phantom. Fucking unreal shit, bro. Unreal shit. But yeah, sick verse, sick verse. Yeah. What's next? Next is delete glitch.
hmm
The fucking hook. The fucking hook is beautiful. The hook is perfect. That's what the fuck? Untouchable hook. You know, untouchable hook. Also shout outs to delete glitch. The fucking I'm sample snitching on us. The Patrick yell, that touch, that was pure delete glitch. And I was like, what? But I also really appreciated that because I spent the whole album like taking shit from the beat and putting it into the album, like my words. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna put this yell because it sounds like the niggas yelling. Word, you're right, it does. But yeah, that hook is fucking untouchable, unreal shit. Um, but yeah, I also really like the last line of his verse. Sunk into the bench and figured it wouldn't hurt too much to lose one. That's sick. That's powerful. That hits. Def C. Oh my gosh. What a verse.
like that whole verse is like
We could just start quoting the whole verse, top to bottom. Um, What a fucking fuck. Um, Get hired by my dream job, yet the balance beam collapses. Its brackets landing at my feet became agoraphobic and acrobatic. Excuses my gymnastics. Excuses my gymnastics is nuts. Stretching the truth until it's tattered into stupid useless fragments. Intricate loops and patterns weaving through my life like looms in fabric. There was no room for static. Too much booze and food to add it. Cruising past my right mind, sight blinded by my viewing habits. Ugh.
dude,
Uh,
there's just something about like
mm,
inner multisyllabic rhyme schemes. And the way that he did it as well. Like sometimes it can come off a little bit corny, but this was just like how, like
Unreal,
literally, how do you
unbelievable,
put these many words together that sound like that's it's just
unbelievable. Nigga said she wanted the grown up I said I was, not the excited kid with whom she ended up. I was pretending and didn't know what pretending was. Nigga, what? Oh, oh, oh my god. Oh my god. That might be the line. That might I was pretending and didn't know what pretending was. That might be the line. That's the one. Yeah, that's the can run as hard as I want. My shoulders are where embarrassment lands. Yeah, man. Def C. What the fuck? Um, and then boom, money for water. Where do we even begin? Um, these rappers turn actors, turn assets, blame God and black and back the blue. Oh, come on. If you let them, they'll have their cake and eat it too. If you let them, they'll have your cake and eat it too. What the fuck? I don't subscribe to their fetishes. Fuck all them therapist raps. Y'all like the bars who said or who said it. Y'all are the stars and attention. I'd rather my strong crescent and never question who my savior was and put some more thought in your messages. the
like
fuck,
you
and that's
just
on God, bro.
you really just put together like such an all-star cast for this album. Like not even just like in the features. Like shout out to Bloom Cycle, shout out to Sasco, shout out Millennium.
Shout out to
Of course,
yourself.
you know I did what I could. Shout out in Outside House, of course. Like it's just like
Yeah.
truly an all-star cast for real.
Yeah, man, the beats are sick. Oh my god, shout out to Millennium in particular. Millennium Deadass just shot the shot. Was like, yo, I have this beat. We never spoke before they sent me that beat, and it was just like, oh, this is on the album. This is the emotional crux of the album. Thank you very much for randomly sending me this beat. You know, yeah. I think it came together pretty well. Everyone put their ass into this, which is like really nice. To feel like I like have verses that are worthy of people putting their ass into their verses. You know,
I think it's just a testament to how much they respect you as an artist and like what you provide.
Mhm.
Like they gotta bring their best work to compete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's the entire album. Like if this conversation didn't make you want to go and fucking listen to Emergency 7 times in a row, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, go listen to Emergency by the time this is out, or by the time you hear this, it'll be out. Um, is there anything else you wanna say before we finish up?
Um, shout out to all my friends who like helped me. Yeah. Um, yeah, music. I don't fucking. I'm just happy to be done. I had a realization today. I feel like I don't know. I want to spend. I hope that people. That I don't really take the niggas are like, oh man, do you have anything else to say? I usually like no, but no. I wanna talk my shit real quick. I hope people like sit with this album. That'd be cool. I think I want to present it in a way that makes people sit with this album. So it probably means not dropping for a while. Which I mean, I already went like a year without dropping, but it's like I should reevaluate my plan for this year, and I think I realized that today. Funny enough, like right before this interview. So I want to like present more of emergency. Yeah, and like I hope niggas explore the world because I think it's a world worth exploring. I hope it's valuable for the people who are able to recognize the traumas that I don't know make up the backbone of this album, the spine of this album, and may they themselves relate and have gone through similar situations. And I'm sorry if that's the case, but like I don't know. I hope this album provides some solace, like it's provided me, provide a bit of solace and room for reflection and shit, type shit. Yeah.
Type shit for real. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Again, please go listen to Emergency. Fuck, go listen to it. Fuck streaming. Go buy that shit. Go put
Oh, type shit. Now we're talking
go put
language.
money in Shemar's.
Yeah.
Like fuck.
Yeah.
Like if you gotta stream it, do what you gotta do. But like if you can, like go support.
$100 minimum, nothing crazy.
Yeah, for real.
Bro, I will give niggas the album, bro. You want a code? I'll give niggas Bandcamp codes. It's whatever. Own the album. Sit with the album.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure. All right, this has been another episode of the Anti Interviews. I don't really have a upload schedule anymore for this. You'll get it when you get it. When I have someone to talk to, you'll get it. But I have been doing a lot more with the Anti Substack. I guess I should start getting better with promoting my own stuff. Anti Substack, we do music reviews, album reviews, interviews, sometimes wrestling content. Kind of been slacking on that, but check out the Substack. Tap in with Anti in general. A lot of interesting shit.
Real anti shit. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of interesting shit on a musical front coming very, very soon. So, stay tuned and all that.
Yeah.